Shh. Be quiet. Don't say that.
What did I say?
Chill. Relax. The Impossible Conversation Podcast.
Let's talk.
Welcome to the Impossible Conversation. I'm Coach Sarita.
And I'm your Hope Dylan Mira.
And on the Impossible Conversation, we shift generations through impossible conversations. This episode, whatever work you do it with all your heart as unto the Lord. Mm-hmm. So this is a very near and dear subject to me because, being a business owner and working with a multitude of teams from all generations. Mm-hmm. I think this is like the first time ever there's been 5 generations in the workforce. And I work with all 4 generations. So I get to see the differences and how each of the generation works. And the beauty of it is there are strengths and pros in each generation.
Yeah.
And I'm cautioned to say that there's things that I want to change about a generation and their work ethic. Mm-hmm. But if I'm really being honest, there are some things I would definitely like to see changed.
Yeah, and coming from the generation you're talking about, I agree. So you're in your right to say that. Absolutely.
I just think a lot of things come from millennials had helicopter parents. So
what's that?
A helicopter parent is a parent who kind of hovered over them. And just like watched everything they did. They didn't want them to make mistakes. They wanted to shield them.
I get it. Okay.
And by having that protection all the time, the parents often made them feel like everything they did was right also. Mm-hmm. Because if you made a mistake, we fixed it. It's better. Good job. Cheer, 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 cheer. Yeah. So it kind of is playing itself out in the workforce where my generation, the parents weren't over top of us and they didn't watch everything that we did. Mm-hmm. And we weren't kind of geared in the same direction as your generation. Mm-hmm. So I think there needs to be just some little tweaks and minor adjustments in how you guys operate in the workforce.
Mm-hmm. I agree. For starters, the one thing that just grinds my gears is the art of code switching. I don't think a lot of the people in my generation
even
understand.
I don't even know if they know what it is.
That is so necessary. And I know in a way it could be a thing like, I'm not going to change who I am. I'm going to be me wherever I go. This whole new authenticity movement. It's very important. Mm-hmm. When you walk into a certain establishment or you run a certain establishment or you are employed at a certain establishment, that you have a change of tone, mindset, sensory over your words.
Preach.
It's like, we can't be in there talking like I'm talking right now with the hand movements and the neck and the shoulders. You gotta bring it on down, polish yourself. And I'm not saying change who you are because I don't want anybody to go in there acting like somebody they're not and being uncomfortable. I'm just saying there's things that you should and should not say. There's things that you should and should not be talking about. And there's ways in which you say what you're trying to say. And the way that I'm seeing it,
it's not happening.
It's not happening. Like when I was in younger, I think in 7th grade, I was taught, I had a class on code switching.
Really?
An entire class. And, at the end of his entire lesson, he just asked us, it just comes down to this question. Are you going to be a business owner, a professional, a good employee, or are you going to be at my market asking me paper or plastic?
Ooh.
Comes down to that.
Good job.
And that stuck in my head for all of my life because the only people that are really going to accept that is at the
paper
market.
plastic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You want fries with that?
Yeah.
Should we supersize
it?
Yeah. I mean, those are that type of position.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even, I had never heard the term of code switching. It's kind of a newer term. Mm. But, to me, it was just like being a chameleon. It was like being bilingual. It was actually a second language.
Second language, I like that.
Yeah. That's the way I always, took it as, okay, well, when I'm in corporate America, I speak in this way, whereas when, I may be in my neighborhood, I speak with this vernacular. I'm still the same person, but I'm just delivering the message in a different way. So code switching is nothing but switching between two languages, like being bilingual.
Yeah.
And I would love for teachers to actually teach that as a course, because I think that would really have a lasting impression as it did with you, because you were in 7th grade, so you were about 12 years old. And now it still rings true, and you see the benefit of the code switch. In the same way, I wish there was someone teaching etiquette when you come to a job interview. I mean, we interview probably on average 2 to 3 dozen people a year at my company. And some of the attire I see at the interview, some of the behavior that's exhibited, I actually, and no one better not steal my idea, because I probably will do it one day, but I wanted to have an interview show where there's a camera watching as we're conducting these interviews, because some of the things that people are actually wearing, some of the things that they're saying, some of the ways they're so unprepared, if there was a camera there, it would be like a #1 show. It's astounding to me. In my generation, when we went to an interview, and I know it's a little bit overkill, you don't have to go quite this far, but we would wear a whole suit. You wore a pantsuit. You wear your black pants, you wear your black blazer, a white camisole, white button-up. Or you may wear a black dress with a pair of heels, and then you had your attaché case with your 2 polished resumes on bond paper, and you were prepared for your interview. Anisha.
It's a different day, and I have to be honest, my first job was at Charlotte Russe, and I was up all night with my mom. I said, Mom, what am I supposed to wear to this? She's like, remember, you don't have, a white button-up shirt, the same outfit you just described, and I'm like, no, I don't even own that. Like, no. But then the outfit that I end up choosing, you guys would never wear that.
Oh.
It was literally a cutoff, like tank top, and it was like tribal print, and it was red and yellow and different colors like that printed, and then I wore a black bodycon skirt with it.
Oh, wow. And
I was so nervous about it because my mom was like, Mirror, you look cute, but I don't know if you giving professional.
Right.
But I was like, Mom, I believe in it. This is a retail store. I think they're gonna go for it. So, I went with all my nerves and all of my concerns about my outfit, and the first thing the interviewer said was, oh my God, I love your outfit. So it was awesome. She's like, did you get your clothes from here? So then we ended up connecting and bonding over the outfit, and I got the job. So see the difference? It's just a different day, a different time.
When I tell you, it's definitely a difference, because I've had people come into interviews with hoodies and jeans.
No, that's a no.
And I guess it depending on what the position requires.
Absolutely.
But for
if you're going to be like a trainer or coach,
something like that, or like maybe even working like in the recycle industry, waste management, something like that, where I can understand, you just thrown on your
hoodie.
Right, and you should, I guess the point of it is you should never judge a book by its cover.
Absolutely, because he could be like The Pursuit of Happiness. We all seen that movie.
Yes.
And he ran into a whole lot of trouble, but he did everything he could to get to that interview.
Yes. And we hired the person.
Yep.
So
then he got hired.
Right. So the packaging was lackluster. But the person, the content of the character was there, and they could do the job. I don't know to this day why the individual chose to wear that, if they were cold, if they were coming from the gym and they forgot they had the interview. But it just really amazes me, some of the things that people wear, some of the things that people say during interviews.
And obviously we're not talking about people who don't have it and that's all they have there, and obviously we're not talking about people like them. We're talking about, if you know better, then do better type people.
Well, also, we know it's not the people that don't have it, because we do extensive checks on individuals before we hire them. So, we check out your social media and we see that, you dress in an appropriate way and
most of the time.
Mm-hmm. And you're
so this is just the contents of your character.
Today, this is what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to see who I am in my true self.
Yeah.
And that's the way you came.
Yeah.
The same thing with, resumes. No one brings them anymore. I mean, we just had to understand that it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
The one that they email to you, if they email you one,
mm-hmm.
you may not get one. But if they do email you one, print it out yourself
mm-hmm.
because we will not have one in hand.
Mm-hmm. I have to be honest, my resume is not the best. I mean, I've worked a lot since I was 14, but
right.
I just never
haven't
really take the
that.
time to write it out.
Oh my God.
Seems like useless.
But how does a person know who you were, know what experiences you have, know what your skill sets look like?
Good question. That's a very good question. It does make sense to prepare for that and have that documentation with you, but there's the idea
and
of
shine
mm-hmm.
and allow us to see
mm-hmm.
the upward progress that you've made throughout your career.
Maybe they're ashamed.
Oh.
Maybe it's not work they're proud of.
Okay.
So they just don't mention it.
It's definitely not a lack of work history because this generation has a lot of work history.
Mm-hmm.
The work history there's no shortage in that. I mean, so I don't think it's that piece of it. I think it's more along the lines that everything in this generation is more casual and laid back,
mm-hmm.
and we're more just, you see us, this is who we are.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, Sarah, what do you think about that? Is that true? Like, what do you see as far as why people don't kind of come prepared-ish to interviews and things of that nature? I know we're putting Sarah on the spot.
Sarah's getting red. Sarah, don't worry.
Honestly, like with the resumes and that sort of thing, I feel like a lot of people don't know how to properly build a resume. There's like a lack of understanding there. Like they don't know the format and this and that. They don't know how to hype themselves up sometimes.
Okay.
I agree with that. I have to say that I still refer to my, 8th grade resume template to build my resume when my teacher taught me.
I just find that so hard to believe, though. I mean, because you guys know how to hype yourself up on social media.
Not me.
Well, the people that are on social media, they know how to hype themselves and make themselves look great, make themselves look polished, make themselves look perfect. And then you guys have access to YouTube, which was not a thing in my day. There's a template for everything. So, I really think it's just partly, and then just partly take me or leave me. Like, it don't even matter. You know what I mean? Like, you would be honored to have me. It's like, I am
the ish.
Kind of that. Okay. I think that's kind of it because I can't see any other. There is access to everything. That's the same thing, the same tool gives you every resume under the sun. I mean, it gives you the words to say in your resume. Mm-hmm. If you did this job,
you can copy paste ones. That's true.
So I mean, that is probably a thing that I really would not hire an individual. If you came to me unprepared without the resume, that's something that I'm just like, you really didn't even care. Mm-hmm. This is the way you felt about us. You didn't even care. So okay, you don't get the job because I mean that is basic knowledge at this point to me.
Yeah. That's the least you guys ask.
That's the least we can ask for. Yeah. So if you don't even feel like doing that, then I don't really know if we feel like having you. Unfortunately, I mean it's just that. But another generational thing, which rings true for my generation versus your generation, is just our ability to have work-life balance. Mm-hmm. Do you know what that is?
Yes, your work and your life is balanced. Equal parts. You give energy equally to each.
Right. So you divide out your time.
Yeah.
So work has its time, and we probably in my generation 9-10 hours a day that was work time, and then you would literally leave your job. Once you clocked out of your job, then you were going home to be mom. You were being your mom. You were being mom until the end of the night, and then you would pick up the next job. Pick up work again tomorrow morning, and then go back to, and then continue in that way. It feels like your generation kind of blends everything into one. Mm-hmm. So it's like gumbo. So there's no separation between work and life, which can have some negative consequences because number one, it blurs the lines of coworker and friend.
Mm-hmm.
I have a supervisor who is a millennial, phenomenal job. She does an awesome job at, running her team, driving her team, inspiring her team, cheering her team on. And whenever a team member leaves, she like takes it so personal because I think she thought of those people as her friends. When I had to like really have a sit down conversation and let her know, there's a line.
Mm-hmm.
These people worked for the company. They're not your friend group.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the same way with social media. Like, you guys all follow each other,
Mm-hmm.
being co-worker. We just consider people co-workers.
Mm-hmm.
If it was a work function,
Mm-hmm.
we hung around each other. If not, there was no interaction between us and our co-workers.
Yeah, that's the difference. I think with my generation, we are really into connecting with each other and not just having this be a one path thing, just my coworker. I mean, I worked at, a job for a really long time and, I shared the office with this guy and we connected. I was like, I can so see him. I think long term, like, oh, he's going to be invited to my wedding. Like, yeah,
Wow.
he's on the guest list. Like, I like him. Things like that. So when he left, I was like, no. And then I had to go find him on Facebook and we reconnect. So I definitely can relate to her. If you work, it's kind of like we're building each other up in here. We're giving each other the courage to go on. You're getting me through this tough day. The conversations, the laughs, the stories we share. It's like, I don't know, you build a connection.
See, we didn't share.
And that's a big thing about your generation. That's a really big thing. Everything
Sharing
is
that.
Business.
Everything is
Telling your business.
right. Like, there was two separate buckets. You're my coworker. We talk about work things. And you keep things very surface around. How's the kids doing? Oh, good. How's the birthday party?
Mm-hmm.
You give 3 sentences and then that's it. Whereas you guys, you watch each other's lives go by.
That's very
And you
interesting.
comment on them as the life is going by.
That's
So it's, I can't imagine the amount of share that you guys do with coworkers. Because for me, literally, we would probably go out to lunch once a month or so to celebrate each other's birthdays.
Yeah.
But it wasn't involved in every area of my life.
Yeah. I can understand that, and that's a big difference that I just don't understand between our generations. But that's actually a good
You don't
point that
understand?
you say that we watch each other all day,
All day.
comment on each other all day. I mean, a connection, rightfully so, would be built. You feel like you know them because you do.
As you should, because
Yeah.
you literally watched everything that they've done.
Yeah.
So you know their progress, you know their downfalls, you know their failures, you know their
Mhm.
shortcomings, you know their. I mean, there is really no separation. But another thing that's really interesting about the generations is just our commitment to company. I know you look at me puzzled because you all have none, but no shade, no shade.
No, you're good. You're good.
So our commitment to company. So when you got a job, and not as much as baby boomers, we're not to the extreme of baby boomers, but we will potentially give a job 5 years, maybe a decade. Whereas a baby boomer, they're 30-year lifers. They are taking a life sentence at their job and they are never leaving.
Mm-hmm.
They are company.
Mm-hmm.
I think on average, millennials may stay at a company for a year.
That sounds about right. And I think it is that thing of separation, like you said. Like, I like my coworkers and I like this, but I don't like this job. I don't like the job. So my goal the whole time is like, when is this time I'm going to get out of here? Okay, I'm going to apply for this one. Wow, this one, I still got this one. The one thing that I don't agree with my generation is when it comes to resigning. Now that makes me a little uncomfortable. It's like a joke going on that's like, you say you want to. This is like the employee talking to the
Employer.
Yeah. You say you want 2-week notice. You should have noticed 2 weeks ago that I was leaving.
Wow.
So that's like a joke.
Wow.
That's like a joke that's going around on social media, and while it's funny, it's messed up. I don't like that at all.
I don't like it at all.
And again, when I worked at Charlotte Russe, I had my best friend had brought me in, and we started working there together. And she was a manager.
Mm-hmm.
And they would come up to me all the time and be like, well, she told me at home. Let me start here. She told me at home, I ain't coming back there no more. Like, I'm just leaving. I'm done. I ain't coming back. And I'm like, well, wait, so are you going to write the letter? You know,
Right.
give letter of resignation? Are you going to do it? So she's like, no, I don't really want to. I just want to leave. I just want to be done with it. And I'm like, ugh. So when I get back to work, they're like, so what's going on with your friend? Like, do you know where she at? She's not answering the phone. And I'm kind of like, oh, I don't really know her like that. Like, we just went to school together. Like, I'm like downplaying our relationship because she decided to just leave with no notice. So that's the one thing that bothers me and I don't agree with. I just think it's common courtesy and respect to give them the chance. But then social media